Hi, everyone. Welcome to another interview from our interview series with successful business analysis practitioners. Today, we will be interacting with Rahul, who is a CBAP certified business analyst, and will understand and gain knowledge from his journey of becoming CBAP certified. My name is Nitin, and I will be your host on behalf of Techcanvass for this interview. Hi, Rahul. How are you?
Hi Nitin, I'm good. How about you?
I'm doing great, Rahul. Thank you for your time and thank you for asking. So, just before we begin the interview, I want to understand your background, your professional background, what you were doing before becoming a business analyst.
Right. So Nitin, it's been almost 15 years since I started my journey. It was back in 2007 when I started. First half of my journey was pretty much into quality assurance, software testing, these kind of aspects. And then I realized the natural progression of that work was transitioning into the business analysis practice,
Mhm.
which I started in 2015, right? So since then, kind of having learned a lot on the job, and naturally kind of grown into a more senior role into the BA practice recently. Uh,
Mhm.
since 2018, I have been working with Tata Consultancy Services as a senior
Okay.
business analyst in its life sciences domain, basically. Yeah, it's been a good journey with the company because lots of flexibility and lots of good projects are here, right? So, yeah,
Mhm.
journey has been interesting, lots of ups and downs, but I hope now things are getting in pretty stable. So, yeah.
That's great to hear, Rahul. How did you decide that you will be going for CBAP certification? Did you do any
So,
kind
so
of
uh,
research around it?
yeah, Nitin. So, I mean, as I said, of course, having been into this practice for almost 6 to 7 years, I have been looking for more formal learning methods. So
Okay.
one thing is on the job learning, and you work in different projects and you learn a lot during through those projects, right? But the second
Mm.
aspect is kind of how do we gain more formal knowledge, right? So
Correct.
this is when I researched online, talked to a couple of colleagues in my company who actually cracked business analyst certifications, and they kind of
Mm.
all recommended that, hey, you should go for CBAP given your experience, right? So
Mm.
it was last year when I actually early 2022 when I actually started seriously thinking about this certification.
Okay. And
Yeah.
when did you write this and how long it took you to prepare for it?
So yeah, that was quite a journey, I mean, so it started early 2022. Yes, I decided that yes, this is what I want to do. It was in fact
Hmm.
one of my new year resolutions, you can say, right, last year. So but to be honest, I mean, I really became serious after June or July, because I was quite busy with my work, and when I wrapped up one of the key projects in my company, then I decided that, hey, I should really now start reading, understanding more
Hmm.
about what it is, right? So I would say the actual training, that kicked off in July 2022, right? That was the time
Okay.
frame when I decided that, hey, I need to wrap my head around to what BABOK is, and what actually what does it take to crack the certification, right? So it
Right.
took almost from that time, I think, 4 to 5 months, I would say, was the
Okay.
overall end-to-end timeline for me.
Okay. And how was your preparation? I mean, CBAP is not an easy exam. It takes a lot of time to prepare. So how did you manage your work plus your sorry, the
Yeah.
personal life and your preparation? How were you able to manage all that?
Yeah. So see, I mean, of course, when I did some online research, I realized that it's humongous. You have this book which is
Hmm.
like 500 plus pages, so you have to kind of read that totally. So I knew the task was tough. So the first thing that I decided was I have to gain some fundamental knowledge. And I was,
Hmm.
when I spoke with my family and my friends, they said, "Hey, you're already into this practice for almost 6, 7 years. Why do you need to study so much now, right? Just maybe a couple of weeks, and you can give it, right?"
Yeah.
But when I started reading the book initially, I mean, it was quite challenging because the concepts were you could understand what they meant, but you could not relate a lot to the kind of questions that were expected in CBAP, right? So the very
Hmm.
first thing I did was look for training organizations who could actually help me build the fundamentals, because that was an important exercise. So I think the first couple of months I did an online course, live sessions, just to get a gist of what it is, right?
Yeah.
So after first couple of months, when these sessions got over, then I kind of started understanding the practical implications of these fundamentals. How can these things help me crack these kind of questions that were asked in the CBAP exam, right? So
Hmm.
I looked at I solved a lot of it, ton of questions online. I enrolled in couple of I would say test series. One of them, in fact, was from Techcanvass. I enrolled in that test series also, and
Hmm.
the next couple of months, these kind of answering these questions helped me gain a lot of confidence. I was not there initially. I knew that I got the fundamentals in place, right? But those were
Yeah.
not sufficient for me to. I believe those were not enough for me to just go and give the exam. I think one has to
Hmm.
practice, right? So I think, yeah, those I would say it was a 50-50 journey. First half was more like just read and read, and second half just practice as much as you can, right? So that was my strategy, I would say.
Okay. And did you face any challenges, any moment where you felt that this is not something which I was looking up to, and I didn't know that this will be so tough, and you wanted to stop over there?
Yeah, I think that realization came actually when I started, taking these online tests, like the full length tests or the practice questions
Hmm.
online. And
Yeah.
what happened was, when you read the BABOK guide, right, it has a certain structure, like knowledge area 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, right? So a lot of people have this imprint in mind that this is a sequence, right? Like you start with the first chapter and you
Yeah.
go to the sixth chapter, and this is a sequence you need to learn, right? But when you actually give the practice questions,
Hmm.
sit and solve as many questions as you can in one session. The questions are a mixed bag, right? You don't know which knowledge area they're talking about, right? It happened with me. I mean, I recall the first simulation that I tried. It was back in, I think, November, mid-November,
Okay.
and I pretty much scored like not more than 50%. And I am like, what is this? I spent 3 months in learning everything, and I was like, not really
Hmm.
cracking the questions. So what happened, right? That was the moment I realized that, hey, it's not as easy as it sounds. It's not just that you have gained all the knowledge and you can just go
Yeah.
and crack the exam. You have to be able to connect the dots, right? And the example that I'm trying to give here is that when you get a CBAP question, right, you need to
Hmm.
understand which knowledge area it is talking about, because you don't know that, right?
Yeah.
For example, a lot of questions come, so they typically give a like case study or a scenario based question, and you
Yeah.
need to be able to understand whether they are talking about strategy analysis, solution evaluation, or what, right? So you need to be able to
Hmm.
fix that. That was my weak area initially, and then when I realized by giving all these online exams, I understood that,
Hmm.
hey, I really need to assess the question in terms of not just what they are asking, but from what knowledge area they are trying to assess you, right? So that was
Correct.
a key thing for me to kind of go from that 50% to 70 to 75% range, right?
That's actually, I mean, one of the good strategies, that first figure out from which knowledge area this question is. So
Yeah,
you are actually narrowing down most of the things over there itself. So
that is
yeah. So let's talk about the exam day. How was your exam day? Because it's a long duration exam, close to 3 hours of exam, and I mean it's very tough to sit at one place. and kind of think about concepts and answer those MCQs. So how was your exam day?
So I would say let's talk about T-1, the one day before the exam. So I was, I mean, naturally I was tense, right? I mean, I had everything in place. I had my practice, I had my knowledge in place. I gave a lot of, practice exams and everything, and I was
Mm,
kind of confident, but somewhere in the back of my mind, I was always thinking, hey, what if it doesn't work out, right?
yeah.
What if the luck is not on my side, perhaps, correct? And I recall on 21st of December last month when the evening before the exam, I actually attended a
Yeah.
session from Canvas, in which one of your trainers came and he actually spoke about not the questions and everything, but more like motivational talk, right? How can you actually just focus on the exam and crack it and don't worry about what you have done till now, and that
Mm,
session actually helped me a lot during that night and the exam day itself.
yeah.
So I was, by morning, 22nd December morning, I was, pretty relaxed, and I knew that whatever happens, I just have to bank upon my knowledge, my practice, and it will happen. uh,
Mm,
Now I went to the center, and everything started pretty smoothly. I had some finer strategies in place,
mhm,
like in one of your sessions, I came to know that, hey, one should not really try solving the case studies upfront. You should not do that. You should first focus on the smaller questions. Just skip all the case studies.
mm,
Do not try them. Try solving them upfront, because these take a lot of time to comprehend and
yeah.
answer, and you might lose focus. So I pretty much skipped my first 40 questions, because all of them were like long case studies. I started from 41st, and after that it was a smooth journey. Then I came back to the first question, which was a case study. So this small but very effective strategy helped me a lot during the exam day.
Mm,
One thing which I would say I did not take into account was calculations, like the numerical questions. So what happened was, when I was giving all these practice questions at home, I had my
yeah.
calculator next to me. I was just typing some numbers and then doing some calculations, pretty easy, right? In the exam, you had this online calculator, on screen calculator, right?
Mm,
That was not so efficient. I would say the software was not very efficient. I had to really struggle a lot to do these calculations on the screen. So I would really recommend candidates to keep that in mind. And
mm,
I must say, all these practice exams I was able to finish in 2.5 hours max, all the 120 questions. In the
mm.
exam day, I was at my last question, and I think it was just 30 to 45 seconds remaining, right? So
Oh,
so
okay.
it's just because you have this on screen inefficient calculator, which actually bugged me a lot, to be honest.
Okay. So it was kind of a race against time for you that day.
It was at the end. Yeah, yeah, it was because, and I was actually, and I went back to my high school and class 12 days, because I was literally like
Uh,
summing all those numbers on my sheet of paper and everything, right? So it was pretty interesting, but I'm glad I came out at the right side of it. So yeah.
Great, great, great. Now, what's your resolution for this particular? Which certifications are you targeting now?
I don't know. I mean, yeah, one thing I understand in my practice where I'm working right now, I mean, although I'm now
Mm,
CBAP certified, but you have to continue learning, right?
learning.
So I
Yeah.
think I would say, given the kind of projects that I am in, I think Agile and Scrum Master certifications are next on my list, I would say, because
Mm,
these are the methodologies in which my projects work generally, right? So I think,
mm,
yes, these are the things which I want to learn. I would just take it little light this year. I mean, because CBAP took a lot of toll on me
yeah.
personally in the last few months. So I think Agile, Scrum Master, business analytics, I think these are relatively simpler than CBAP. But
Mm,
yeah, now that I have cracked CBAP, it actually gave me a lot of confidence in terms of
correct.
continuing this journey, right? So I hope it remains like that.
It will, definitely it will. Thank you for sharing this wonderful journey with us, Rahul. And Happy New Year again. Thank you for talking to us.
Sure, Nitin, same here, and I really appreciate this. And as I said, I hope this journey of learning continues smoothly going forward. And Happy New Year to you and your entire team. Thank you so much.